This morning, John Bradshaw from It Is Written is with us today to share an encouraging message.
Hey there, it's great to see you. I'm John Bradshaw from It Is Written. I'm blessed to have this opportunity to spend a few moments with you, share a thought with you that I really think will bless you. Might challenge you a little bit. It certainly challenges me. So as we look forward to a great day, take this thought with you. It will encourage you. So, the Apostle Paul goes to Philippi. He's doing God's work. He's a missionary in Philippi. Where's Philippi? It's in what today we'd call modern day Greece. Paul is there. It's a heathen city. It's not a Christian city. It's not like they rolled the red carpet out for him. It's not like they said, Paul, what a hero. Come and tell us about this wonderful creator God, about this Jesus who died on a cross. They didn't understand any of that stuff. It was all new to them. They had a pantheon of gods, did the Greeks. And so here was Paul working in this place. Now, the Bible tells us this in Acts chapter 16. Paul is not getting a great welcome. We read, and I'm going to read this to you. It says in Acts 16:16, it happened as we went to prayer that a certain slave girl possessed with a spirit of divination met us, who brought her masters much profit by fortune telling. She was a slave, she was kept, she was demon possessed, and so she had these devil-given abilities to tell fortunes. Goes on to say, the girl followed Paul and us, Dr. Luke is writing, and cried out saying, these men are the servants of the Most High God who proclaim to us the way of salvation. Now what she was saying was true, but she was being a nuisance. How do you deal with situations like that? No, I'm not saying philosophically, how does one deal? I'm saying, how do you deal with situations like that? When someone is intentionally messing with you, intentionally trying to destroy the work that you are doing, grating on you. You know, this is fingers on a chalkboard stuff. She's getting under your skin. What do you do to a person like that? Now, you know somebody, come to your mind just like that. Oh man, my brother, my mother, my wife, my husband, my kid, my neighbor. Oh, that person would just let her have it. They'd yell at them. They'd let them have a piece of their mind. They'd put that person in their place. We all know people like that. But is somebody else saying that you are that person? Oh, I don't think you would be. Surely you would never be that kind of person. But we know people who would be that kind of person. What did Paul do? Paul and Silas, how did they react? They had the opportunity to react here. And it's really interesting what they did. In fact, it's more than interesting. It's instructive. It says, she did this for many days. Oh, can you imagine? What's many? Is many 2? No, that's 2 days. Would many be 3? Maybe, but I don't think. Seems to me many's got to be 4 or 5 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 days, maybe more. So this had been going on for days. And Paul had enough. It says this. This she did for many days. But Paul, here it comes. Paul, greatly annoyed, turned and said to that young demon-possessed woman, you know what's interesting about it? The Bible doesn't say that. It says she did it for many days. It does say Paul was greatly annoyed. It does say that Paul turned and said to the. But this is really interesting. This can teach us something. Paul turned and said to the spirit, I command you in the name of Jesus Christ to come out of her. And he, the demon, came out of her, the young girl, at that very time. Now that's a different take, isn't it? The woman was at fault. Oh man, she was at fault, all right. What she was doing was an absolute pain in the neck. But Paul didn't turn to her and say, you no good, you loudmouth, you girl, you. He didn't do that at all. Because he understood that the young woman was a victim. And he turned and said to the spirit, he addressed the devil, you get out of her and leave her alone. And it's interesting, the devil departed and the girl was returned to her right mind, and she was no longer a fortune teller after that. Those powers had gone because the devil introduced them into her life and he was cast out through the power of the risen Christ, which tells us a lot. It tells us greater is he that is in you than he that's in the world. It tells us that in the spiritual battle between good and evil that we see in the world right now, Christ is more powerful. Christ wins. But let's bring this back. You're driving on the freeway and somebody, I don't know, maybe they get a little close to you, or they jump on the brakes, or they get ticked off with you, or you pull in front of somebody, they flash their lights and honk their horn and drive past, they pull up next to you and shake their fist. You think, wow, that reaction was a bit much. I was just minding my own business. Sorry, bro, I didn't mean to do any of that. Well, what's rubbing their fur wrong? You know, I don't know, and you don't either. Maybe they're demon possessed. Maybe not. But maybe they've had a very bad day. Maybe they've had very bad news. Maybe they had a very bad upbringing. Oh, I'm not giving a person a free pass. Wrong is wrong, and people ought to take responsibility for that. But wouldn't it be a better approach if we didn't get angry with people before recognizing, hey, there's probably some things that are winding them up. Maybe there are some circumstances that I don't know about. We wouldn't hold grudges that way. That neighbor of mine does this and does that. Well, wait a second. If you just look at it through a more charitable lens and understand that your neighbor is under some stress and maybe she or he is doing their very best, perhaps you no longer hold a grudge against your neighbor. Perhaps at night when you put your head on your pillow, instead of imagining sticking pins into a your neighbor doll, you're thinking to yourself, or you're praying, Lord, help my neighbor because he is battling with A, B, C, and D. This person is really upset about the noise my kids make in the backyard, but it's not very loud and it's in the middle of the day and it shouldn't be bothering them and it is their own place. You understand what I mean. Paul got it right. There was no need to be angry with the young woman. She wasn't even her own person. She'd been taken over by another force. And while I don't want to ascribe demon possession to every last little problem that's going on in the world, because that wouldn't be so, you do understand that sometimes people are just under the control of another force. It might be their anger, it might be their hunger, it might be the stress, it might be something from way back in their upbringing. Often, people are angry with their parents because maybe they were a little overbearing. I'm only talking a little overbearing, I'm not talking about abuse. Maybe they're a little crotchety or cranky or irascible. And maybe what you needed to understand really was that your parents were the product of another generation. Maybe they had it real hard when they were kids. Maybe they had to work, and you never picked up that ethic and they were challenged by that. And it wasn't your parents, man. It's the fact that they were from another generation and they were wrestling with this changing world. It's all different now. The entertainment and the music and the clothes the kids wear, it's all different. And the parents, or maybe I'm talking about the grandparents, now struggled with that. You got angry with them failing to see that, behind that veneer of crotchetiness, there was a struggling going on to get their arms around the changing world in which they find themselves. However you apply it to yourself, I hope you will apply it if you need to in your experience today. A demon-possessed woman was making life a misery for the Apostle Paul. He wasn't mad with her. He knew that the devil was to blame. Don't get mad with people today. Be a little understanding. Watch God change your heart. Do have a great day. May God bless you.